Faith. By definition, it's something that is felt with strong conviction without tangible evidence of its existence. Many claim to have it, but how do we attain it? It can't be held. It can't be sold. But it can be passed down. Faith is invaluable to those who feel it. How is it that this belief can unite us regardless of our differences? It's because of conviction, that feeling inside that links so many, from the far corners of the earth to the closest reaches of our neighborhoods. Faith is all around us. Faith springs from a glorious past forward to a promising future. The faith that those who not so quietly defeated rivals and redefined record books would inspire their brethren of today to reach such epic accomplishments. And all along, there are those who cheer. In their minds, they envision. In their hearts, they believe. And because of that, they are simply known as the faithful.
It's amazing when I was young how simple life used to be. Everything was black and white, yes or no, front or back, I can or I can't go. Like others, I saw the world in a remarkably simple spectrum of light. I decided very early on that there were only two types of people in the world. Those that were 49er fans and those that weren't. After all, they really seemed to be quite different from one another. At the ripe age of 9, barely old enough to know a forward pass from a lateral, my dad took me to my first real 49er football game. Now my life would change forever. Then we stood in this long line to buy two 50-cent end zone general admission tickets. All around us were 49er fans in red jerseys, some with cowboy hats drinking beer. Dad called them the lovable 49er fans. I could feel my dad's elation once inside the stadium. It seemed he knew every cranny of this place. There was magic in their numbers too. 39 was McElhaney, 34 was Joe Perry, 14 was Tittle, 73 was Nomalini. Dad said John Henry Johnson could be identified without a number because you could tell him from the shape of his helmet. The 49ers were the center of my dad's cosmos. He never missed a thing that happened on the field and wanted to share it all with me. Dad gave me his binoculars to look through, and as I focused my eyes on number 39, something interesting happened. From then on, it was a time for me when mortality and immortality were so close, I had dreams almost every night of being a 49er player. So why am I so connected to this team? I've never met most of the players or staff, yet I have an unspoken bond, a bond shared by millions of other 49er fans all over the country. Watching the 49ers is not a matter of life and death for me. It's more important than that. My friends, my relationships, and even dreams have come and gone. But 49er football is constant for me. For whatever reason, it was all worth it. It was all worth it. It was all worth it.
How does it all begin? How do we become fans of a team? Is it a simple gift given to us with a logo on it? A chance encounter with a player? Or a father, brother, mother, or sister who influences us to fall in love with a team they hold dear to their heart? In the case of Martin Jacobs, it was a visit to Kezar Stadium and a play. A play that would spark a wildfire deep within that would never be extinguished.
When I was younger, my father took me to my first 49er game, and I wasn't interested in watching the game because I was more concerned about watching the seagulls and the pigeons fly around, and Dad was elbowing me. He says, watch the game, watch the game. He gave me his binoculars, and he says, I want you to watch number 39. And that was Hugh McElhaney, and he took the ball on a second carry, and he ran about 60 yards for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, instantly, I was hooked on the 49ers. It just took that one play. When the 49ers came along, it was like family to me. The 49ers filled a need in my life. When it's not football season, I'm looking back at my scrapbooks and I'm looking at my programs. Even before I'll go to bed, sometimes I can't sleep. I'll take out one of my albums on, say, 1955 49ers, and with each program I have the newspaper clippings. So I'll read about the game. My passion's for the 1950s because I worked at the stadium. There were no boundaries at the stadium. There were no fences. Security was light. In fact, my uncle was a security guard at Kezar Stadium. Every game, maybe 2 minutes to go in the half, he would turn his back. He'd be on the sidelines, and I'd be ready to jump the railing to run to the bench, and he'd turn his back, and I would go on the 49er bench. So I would be there for the last 2 minutes of the half.
Darting to the bench was only one of a few plays in Martin's faithful playbook. This one-time Kezar employee was doing much more than earning a buck when he entered the iconic stadium nestled by the bay. He was living a dream by being close to a team that he was simply fanatic about.
In fact, I guess you could say I was a fanatic because I'd be the first one in the stadium at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd shoot to the top row, and I didn't start vending till the game started, but I'd watch the people come in. And then when the game ended, I would run up to the same spot, the top row of the stadium, and watch everybody leave. Now, I don't know, I had some fetish about being the first one in and the last one to leave. So maybe I was a little different.
Everybody would think he's a crazy man because it's very rare that you find someone so passionate about anything, let alone a football team. The history that he presents, if you ask him anything, he's got stories. He can literally keep you on the phone for hours telling you about stories.
I've been married twice and I have 2 divorces. One wife said I love Joe Montana more than her, and I think the other one said McElhaney or what. And then it came down to a coin flip once. We were going to move to Arizona, and this is the truth. I'm telling you the truth, that we flipped the coin, and I won, and I didn't move down with my wife to Arizona. So you could see how strong the affiliation is for me to be here where I am, because I've tried living in Las Vegas, I tried living in Carlsbad, California, I tried living in Arizona. I just can't be away from my team.
I've actually tested him a few times, and I'd be kind of negative towards the team. They weren't performing perfectly and scoring touchdowns, and I'd say, I don't agree with the play calling, and this team is just not doing very good. Dad, we should stop watching the game. And he would look at me and get pretty upset and, basically tell me to be quiet and don't say anything. I want to watch the game.
What would life be like if a son couldn't tease his old man? Simple fun and camaraderie, though, are born from respect and influence. Josh clearly has his dad's best interest in mind and is there for Martin, win or lose.
I can start with after a loss, he gets very depressed.
I can't accept losing. I'm terrible.
When I try to discuss with him why the 49ers might have lost a game, what failed on the team.
Oh, come so close to winning and then lose.
The play calls, the defense, who didn't tackle. He kind of doesn't want to hear it.
And it would take me 2 or 3 days to get over that. In fact, when the 49ers would lose a game at Kezar, when everybody cleared out, I would still be sitting there, mainly because I want to be the last one out of the stadium, but I'd be depressed when they would lose.
But after a win, he's all smiles, we hug each other, and it's just a big celebration. It's like we just won a big battle. That whole week, we're happy, we're eating out for dinner.
I have this passion for the 49ers, and that's, call it an addiction, but that's what it is.
Do you have your own incredible faithful story to tell? Or do you know someone who truly is a faithful? Let us know about it. Email 49ers Studios at fns@49ers.com and share it with the world.
If you have to describe me, I say I'm an emotional person with an addictive behavior. My addictive behavior is to the 49ers, and I don't deny it. My kids know it. I have 5 kids, and I used to hear it from them all the time, how you love the 49ers more than us. And I told them I love them too, but I couldn't deny the fact of my feelings for the 49ers. It's like family to me.
San Francisco native Martin Jacobs is a true throwback. He's a leather helmet. He's Converse sneakers. He's simply vintage. He embraces the past and holds history near and dear to his heart, and believes that the paths blazed by those before us help to guide us more clearly in the future. And the history of the 49ers and their faithful is no different.
History is important. There wouldn't be the team they have today without those players who formed the franchise. I'm interested basically American history, the history of the 49ers when they started. I lived through it. But when you're talking about history, you're talking about items one of a kind, people, special people.
History. It's defined as a continuous systematic narrative of past events relating to a particular people, country, period, or person. Although it comes with a stamped date and at times perceived to be antiquated, history is anything but. It isn't an inanimate object meant to be encased in a museum and forgotten. It's meant to be a tool that breathes life into generations, educates, and inspires all at the same time. There's no better example of such inspiration as the Pro Football Hall of Fame, located in Canton, Ohio.
The Hall of Fame is a special place because you're walking right through history and seeing all the places. I've been there about 5 times. Like I said, without the history, I wouldn't probably be here sitting giving this interview.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame, the bedrock of the NFL, where the league was founded on September 17, 1920. While names like Jim Thorpe and Vince Lombardi echo through these hallways, there's more than a hint of the 49ers in these hallowed halls as well. Although the team didn't join the NFL until 1950, they were part of the All-American Football Conference from 1946 to 1949. When the All-American Football Conference folded, the Baltimore Colts, Cleveland Browns, and of course, the 49ers joined forces with the National Football League. It was in the 1950s that the 49ers would be perceived as something special, as their million-dollar backfield exploded onto the scene, and the running game was viewed as one of the most dominant of their time. Playmakers, leaders, dynasties, all of these are represented in Canton, and all of them have the common ground of Northern California adorning their walls. The 49ers live on in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but so do their faithful. If you ever decide to visit, you will find that behind those great players and coaches, there stands an army of fans. And by the way, if you look close enough, nestled in the hallway, blazoned on a plaque, eternally professing his faithfulness, you will find Martin Jacobs as well. And he is right where he belongs. A successful businessman who owns sport merchandising stores, an author of several books, and a historian of all things 49ers. This native faithful has seemingly done it all. What else has Martin Jacobs done in his life to make a buck? For starters, he walked the aisles of Kezar and represented the red and gold.
That became my first job. I was a vendor for the 49ers for about 13 years. I started off by picking up cushions for a nickel apiece. From there, I graduated to popcorn, peanuts, hot dogs, and I never missed a 49er play. And during this time, I'm collecting 49er memorabilia, because after the games, I'd pick up all the discarded programs, yearbooks, ticket stubs. So I started collecting around 12 years old, I'd say, and I focused on Hugh McElhaney. It was in 1955, after the Baltimore Colt game, that I was in the parking lot, And I remember McElhaney came out and he had a little duffel bag with him. And I said, Hugh, do you have anything I could have, you know, for souvenir enough? And he said, well, I have a torn jersey. And he says, if you want it, you could have it. Now, it was all rolled up in a little ball, like sweaty, stinky little jersey. And it was torn. And I've kept it all these years. Became like the cornerstone of my collection.
Collecting. There's nothing uncommon about wanting to retain a piece of your team. Whether it's helmets, cards, you name it, people collect it. But in the case of Martin, there's nothing at all common about what he collects. And the depth of his collection is simply astounding.
This is a tearaway jersey, and they ripped a lot. And this is the one McElhaney gave me in 1955. This is the cape that Hugh McElhaney wore, and he has signed it on the sleeve, Hugh McElhaney, Rookie of the Year 1952, Pro Bowl 1958. This ball in particular is signed by Bert Bell, Commissioner. Very rare ball. To find one of these is almost impossible, to find it in any kind of shape. This is one of my favorite items. This is McElhaney's chin strap, by the way, but this is a 1955 49er helmet. Got the old single bar mask.
My dad is a special collector. He doesn't just collect anything. He doesn't collect the 49er pillowcases, the new stuff, you know. He doesn't just get what you see at the stores. If they don't have any kind of character or history to it, then he's probably not interested. It's gotta be either game used, it's gotta be autographed by a special player, something that'll be close to his heart and that he won't ever let go. And if somebody wanted to buy something from him, he'd say, look, nothing's for sale, you can only look. This is my personal museum. It's priceless to him.
This is one of my favorite. This is R.C. Alley-oop Owens jersey. This is his rookie shirt. Now, R.C. Owens wore this shirt just 1 year because 1957 is the only year that the 49ers wore this style with 2 gold stripes and 1 red stripe. I also collect and write about World War II. And my father was a veteran in World War II, the 91st Infantry Division. And he was decorated with medals and so on. And he gave me his first collectible, which actually was my first collectible when I was like 4 years old, was his dog tags. That's been my prized possession, my first collectibles.
So as you can see clearly, Martin is nostalgic. He is that special fan who has collected amazing pieces spanning across the decades. Whether it's a program, ticket stub, or a jersey worn by one of the 49er greats, chances are he has it. He's also glad to share a story, or 20. And that is why his passions possessed him to pick up a pen and scribe a new chapter in his life. Literally.
My first book was before they were champions, and I wrote about the 49ers before the Super Bowl, leading up to the Super Bowl, the 40s, the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And then I did another book called San Francisco 49ers Images of Sport, but I'm working on a third book now that's called 60 Minute Men, about the 49er players that gave their heart, their soul, their blood, their guts to the game.
The 49ers brought him happiness. As I grew up, I realized it also brought me happiness, and it's something that bonded us together as a father and son. It's something we share together. It's pretty special.
When I met John York at his suite at one of the games, it was a New Orleans Saints game, he sat me down and he said, he read one of my books that I authored, and he said, you know, you're a very lucky individual. And I said, why is that? He says, very, very few people are able to do the things that they want to do. You have been able, from what I've gathered from reading your books and things, is that do exactly what you've wanted to do. I have to credit my father because he started me off when I was a little kid saying, if you can get your hobby to be your business, you're going to be a very happy person.
Happiness. Martin Jacobs has found that. Whether it was through his days of hard work, walking the concrete steps at Kezar Stadium, enjoying a Sunday with his son Joshua, or flipping through the pages of time that he has so delicately preserved, Martin has found that happiness. And through the ups and downs, the sunny days and the rainy ones, for whatever reason, it was all worth it. Members of the faithful, as you can see, we love telling a good story. Trust us to share yours by reaching out to 49ers Studios at fns@49ers.com. Many of us are inspired not only by our surroundings, but by the people who surround our everyday lives. For Joshua Jacobs, inspiration sprung from his father Martin, whose loyalties most certainly rubbed off on Joshua at a young age and manifested into a brilliant talent to share with the rest of the faithful.
When I was 6 years old, I began to start drawing. When I was hanging out with my dad and we were watching 49er games, I was thinking, hey, that's a great idea. Why don't I just start drawing some 49ers? By the age of 12 years old, I really felt like my pictures are starting to look realistic, and I wanted to carry on and get better and better. Treat it like maybe I'm like a player on the field. I want to run faster, I want to catch better. So when I start doing my paintings, I want it to look more realistic. I want the expression, I want the color. And you know, the sky's the limit. And one day you'll be able to look at my paintings and you won't be able to tell if it's a photograph or an actual painting.